task for today, which is assignment progression, quiz 4 and quiz 5. So, so last week we already covered this whole lecture. Not already. I mean, this whole chapter we already covered last week. So we already covered until this exercise last week. If you remember, we did question 2 for your this one, online engagement. We already did this one too last week. So, but we have another exercise for article. Even though we don't have this in our task for today, but we it should be on last week, which is exercise 3. So actually, by right, last week we should cover this one, exercise 3, which is this one, addictive Facebook use among university students. So like I said last week, because this week we already covered the chapter. I mean, this week actually we already cover this one. We already finished this lecture, not this one last week. General type research design and approach. So I think for this week we try to finish whatever in week 5 first. Then if we have extra time only we move to lecture 6 because lecture 5 already covered last week, which is this part. We already covered until this part, this one. So I remember last week I asked you guys to do this question 3 or exercise 3. So any of you already done this part? Any of you already done this part? I mean exercise 3 since we have no lecture this week. Maybe we'll have later if we finish early. But any of you guys already finished exercise 3? Any of you? Just read the first page. So since I think most of you haven't finished or haven't read the paper, so I think I should give you 10, right? 10 page, right? One, two. I think it's only 6 page. So we go to, I give you around until 9, 8, 9, 9, 9:25. 9:25, you should finish reading this article already. So I think around 15 minutes. Yeah, around 15 minutes, 15, 20. Let's see later. But now I give you 15 minutes to read this paper first, and then later I will ask you regarding this one. Because by right, actually now we should do our lecture, but we already finished our lecture by last week. So we proceed to this one first, and then we will see if we have time. Only we proceed with the next lecture. So I give you around 9:25 to read this article. Okay. Okay. Hi guys. So, have you finished reading it? Page 5. Page 5. Mm. So page 5. So I think I give you guys 10 more minutes because yeah, 10 more minutes until discussion and recommendation. So I think 10 more minutes should be enough to finish that part. Mm, yeah, article has many reference. So guys, I think you should already finish reading that paper. It's okay. We spend quite a lot of time for today because, like I said, we already finished our lecture last week. So it's okay if we spend time to read this paper. Okay, dependent. Never mind. So this is the paper. Addictive Facebook use among university students. So I want to ask, I want to ask medical independent research. Let's see. Hmm. Article has so many reference. Yeah, it's normal in an article. When writing an article, it's quite normal to have many reference. Actually, reference, no one read the reference. Unless, but this is when you're doing your, maybe your FYP for this subject, you don't have to see, it's not that I said you don't have to see the reference, but because this is only a subject, right? Not a really deep research. But actually, when you're writing a research, or when you're writing, when you're doing research, reference part is quite crucial because sometimes if I find out the letter is relevant with my research, I will go through the reference one by one and see the paper. I will search all the paper in the reference to see if it is related to my research too. So for your case, I mean for your level, you can skip this part. But yeah, you can skip this part, the reference. You don't have to read this. This is just the reference that they use in this paper. But for research, for your research, this is important, the reference. Because we are citing people, right? We are give credit to who we refer to. Dependent variable. Okay, never mind, we'll discuss. So I want to ask, let's see. Daniel, I want to ask you about this paper. What is this paper about? Daniel, are you there?
It's about university student addicted towards Facebook. It's like it's about addictive and Facebook use among university student.
Correct. So what do you think the overall paper is about?
It's about student university student using let's say, university student addicted towards Facebook.
Mm,
Mainly, they are focusing about the frequent mainly focusing addiction towards addiction towards
addiction
Facebook
using the
usage.
Facebook. Okay, so you finished reading the paper.
Half half
So from your half reading, what hypothesis that you think that you can come out from this from your reading?
hypothesis.
Yeah. What do you think? Just some random hypothesis that you can think of.
Student mainly using Facebook for social purpose, social purposes. Sometime education purposes. That's my hypothesis.
Oh, okay. I think that's a good one, though. Okay, thank you, Daniel.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. So I think he finished reading half of his paper. So this one to us. Wong. This Wong. Nyap. Wong. Nyap. How? Yeah, this Wong. What is your this one? Author year title. This three. Who is the author year title for this article? I think that's quite easy. This Wong. Hmm. Year 2014. Correct. This is the, as you can see, this is the writer of this paper. This is the year, where is it? This is the year of this paper, and this is the title. Yeah, this is the correct title for this paper. This is the title, as you can see, title here. Okay, thank you, Wong. Then, what is the dependent variable and independent variable if you can find any? I want to ask Ivan. Is there Ivan, right? Yeah, Ivan. What is your dependent and independent variable from this article? Or maybe Jonathan, Ian, you know what is the variable if there's any dependent variable or the independent variable? Any of you can identify independent? Why you say university student is the independent variable? Another way is why you say so? But independent university student, dependent level of Facebook addiction. Addiction independent is addiction to Facebook. Factor of addict. Actually, where is it from this one, right? Independent variable university student. Hmm. University student here cannot be your independent variable. This is not your independent variable because if you said that you independent variable is a variable that you don't have to. I mean, independent variable is a variable that you manipulate, that you change to see the effect on something. So if you said that the independent variable if the is the university student, what is dependent variable that you want to see based on your independent variable? So I think this is not really correct, the university student. Yeah. This is not a really independent variable. Level of Facebook addiction. This is your dependent. This can be your dependent. I mean the level of same with this one, addiction to Facebook. So dependent variable can be your level of Facebook addiction or addiction to Facebook. So wait, dependent variable addiction to Facebook factor dependent Facebook addiction. No, this is not Sam. This is dependent. This is independent. Dependent. Independent. No. No. This is different. Independent, independent. Dependent. Yeah, dependent here is correct. Level of Facebook addiction. But here is wrong. Independent variable. Your independent variable cannot be your addiction to Facebook, but instead your Facebook addiction is your dependent. So here is wrong. Alvin, this is not your independent. Dependent is level of addiction. Why you say most of you say the Facebook addiction is the dependent? Because not change. Dependent variable. Facebook dependent. Dependent is something that I keep. Frequency of Facebook usage. Wait. This is wrong. Oh, okay. Correct. Yeah, my bad. So your dependent variable cannot be your this one because this one is, yeah, your level of Facebook addiction can be changed or it can be manipulated to see what is the effect. So independent variable is your addiction to Facebook, but I think frequency of Facebook usage, Facebook dependency. Wait, this one we wait first. Dependent variable, Facebook dependency. Dependency is this the usage of Facebook independent? Frequency of Facebook usage. Frequency of Facebook usage. Yeah, I think this is the one that we can refer. I mean, this is the answer that we can refer to. But before we go to this, let's go to this one first. So, Noel, your dependency variable, I mean, the dependent variable cannot be your level of addiction. Level of the addiction or your addiction to Facebook should be your independent. So, independent variable for this research is your addiction to Facebook. That means your level of your like level of usage on Facebook. And then you dependent variable is the this one frequency of Facebook usage. Yeah, your frequency of your Facebook usage. So dependent Facebook addiction, independent addictive behavior. Yeah, I think this is more the same with Kelvin's answer. So why I said I want to explain this one. So why I said the Facebook addiction should be dependent, not independent, because the addiction or the level of your usage it changed, and then the higher you use, I mean, the more time that you spend on your Facebook is the more time that you spend on your Facebook. the more attached you are to the Facebook. So that is your addictive behavior. So this one is correct. This one is more or less the same with Ivan. Because dependent variable in mind is the result. Dependent. Yes, dependent is the result. So the result here, yeah, your understanding is correct. Dependent dependent is the result or the output. So the result of or the output is the behavior of the user, behavior of the no, how addictive the user to how addictive, how attached the user to the Facebook. So your understanding is correct, but I think you identify your variable wrongly. So this one is correct. Dependency is like addiction too. Yeah, it's an addiction. Okay, I got this one. So yeah, from your answer just now, I already understood what do you mean by addiction, dependency. Use more Facebook. I think this one should be your hypothesis. So before we go to this, we will keep this one as your hypothesis. So this is your dependent and independent variable. Okay. So any question before we move to research problem or research question? This one yang Kelvin the answer, this one we will keep for hypothesis. So let's move to our research problem or research question. What are the research problem or research question that you can find in this paper? But before that, I want to ask no, before we move to this one, before we move to research problem, I want to ask if what is the M or what is the main objective of this paper? Anyone found? Even though it's not asked in your question here, I just want to know what is the main objective? Jing Ming Lim, what is your objective for this research? What is your objective from this research? Lim or Ming? Lim, do you hear me? After Vincent, can you find what is the objective or what is the main goal, main purpose of this research based on your reading? Actually, the objective or the main purpose you can find in the abstract section. So I want to know what is the objective that you can find from the abstract. This one is the one that you copy from this one, right, Ian? This part you copy from this one. It's okay. Yeah, I highlight that part too. To study whether higher usage of Facebook leads to higher addiction to Facebook. I think this what this objective you write based on your understanding, right? This is not from the article, but this is correct. To study whether higher usage of Facebook leads to higher addiction to Facebook. This is a correct objective, a correct M or goal for this research. This one he copied from this one, the M of the study to explore. So you can, most of the abstract in research paper, you can find your objective. So this is your objective. of your research. Okay, so let's move to the just now research problem or research question. So what is the research problem or research question for this research? Jeremiah, what is the research problem or research question? What is your research problem? Anyone can identify what is your problem or question that need to solve? Like I said, I think this one I in your assignment regarding your research question, I did some comment how to identify what is your research question. So what do you think? What is your research problem and research question based on this? This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you come out with 4 research question. How big is the prevalence of Facebook addiction among students? This one is correct. So you want to see, you want to conduct a test or a research how prevalence the Facebook addiction among students. This one is correct. This one is your research question. Is the excessive to student? Mm, this one is correct. But when writing a research question, I want to ask Kelvin Chuck, where did you get this? Is this come out from you? I mean, your idea or you get from the research paper? Because in your research question, you need to be specific. Harmful for student in as in, I mean, as in what term? For example, oh, he left. For example, is excessive use of Facebook harmful? Is excessive use Facebook harmful for student? I mean, as in mental state or as in their academic performance? Yeah. So you need to be very specific. Yeah, or academic. So you need to write your research question in specific statement because this is general, but this is good. So what are the advantage of using Facebook for university student? This is quite clear. So this is another example of your research question. So what frequency of considered excessive? Yeah, this is correct too. So these 3, I can say the first one, the third one, and the fourth one is a good research question. But for the second one, you need to be more specific as in what term. Is it an academic or mental state? Because Facebook can be harmful to mental health of a student too if it is too much of usage. Okay, avoiding responsibility. I think this one referring to this one just now. So this is a good uh, research question. So other than this one, what is another research question that you can think of? Or what actually is the main problem that lead to this research that you can think of? What is the problem? Problem statement, right? I ask. Hmm. Research problem. Yep. What cause user to be addictive? User, user. What cause user to be addictive to Facebook? I think, no, let's hold this one first. So other than this one, who can identify what is the research problem for this research? What do you think is the problem that lead to this research or why people conduct this research? Why do you think? To identify excessive Facebook usage among non-international. So, Jonathan, to identify extent of the problem of excessive Facebook usage among non-international. To identify the extent of problem of excessive Facebook usage. To identify the extent of the problem of excessive. This is actually more to objective of your research. To identify, to determine is actually this is objective of research. This can be one of your objective of this research. This one two is objective. These two are the objective. What caused user to be addictive to Facebook? This is a research question. This one from Noel is a research question. This one is your objective, and this one is your objective. So anyone can guess, or from, let me drop a hint for you. You can find your problem statement in your abstract. Here, for this particular paper, for this particular research, you can find your problem statement in your abstract. So what do you think the problem that led to the research? Anyone? Celine, what do you think? Where's Celine? What? This one is Celine, right? Jin Chiu Ting. What do you think is the problem statement? Or what do you think is the main problem? Ian, where's Ian? Ian, what do you think? What is the problem? How to prepare student for life? How to prepare student for life in knowledge-based society is to have what? How to prepare student for life in a knowledge-based society is to have to. This is not problem statement. He, this is okay. Wait. Compulsion, compulsion to Facebook. This one can be a clue to your problem statement. How to have student. Okay. Guys. I mean class. To identify your research problem or your research question, it's quite easy if you. Okay. What is research question? Research question is something that when you come out with a research question, or how to identify if that statement is a research question or a research problem is by the statement. For example, this one, to identify, to determine is your objective. This is what you want to know. So if you see the word like to identify, to determine, to analyze, that is your objective. And then for research question, your question of your research should be start something like how to prepare, or how how to, or what is the, or what causes. This is your hypothesis, no, research question. Yeah, your research question should be in a question statement. For example, this one. So this one is your question, research question. This one too is a research question. with a question mark at the end. Same goes to this one. This is a research question. Compulsion. This is a this is a hint to your research problem. So I think none of you. So research problem, or there are one more we call as problem background. I think we start our research with, I mean, before our problem problem statement, problem statement or problem background. Is it? I didn't ask. Statement or problem. So problem statement or problem background. So research problem is actually your, like I said, what is the reason? Yeah, what is the reason? What is the reason we conduct this research? So the reason for us, or for the researcher, conduct this research because they see that this is actually that I can find from the abstract. They see that this addiction between the university students. So that's why they want to conduct to see what is the reason or what is the factor and what is the result from this addiction to the student. So sometimes in your abstract, I won't blame you if you cannot identify, because this one is something that you need to identify your problem statement is not from one or two reading. You need to read a lot of paper, then you will get the skill to identify what is your problem to your research. So this is your problem, which is to addictive some university student. So they identify that Facebook is the addiction to this university student. So they want to see what is the, I mean, they want to see what is the reason or what is the result or the level of addiction to the student. So that is your problem statement. So they didn't really ask. It's not they didn't really ask. They ask, but they combine with question, because research problem is you need to understand the whole paper, why they conduct the research, why they conduct the research. So that's how you identify your research problem. When reading a paper, actually we need to know why is the paper, or why do they conduct the research, because article is, like I said in our previous class, article is the sequence from our research. So in the first place, we need to think, or we need to ask ourselves why they conduct the research. Okay, so that's how I think most of you should okay with the problem research question. But to research problem, you need to understand the whole paper. You need to understand why they conduct the paper, and you need to connect some with your logic why these people or those people conduct the research. And then, like I said just now, problem statement or problem background. Usually in writing, oh, this is not FYP. So usually when you're writing a research paper, not an article, but sometimes in article too, a problem statement or problem background is a statement or a paragraph from this research problem. I think in your assignment got this part. So first you need to identify your research problem. Then only you can come up with this problem statement or your problem background. Okay. So before we move to hypothesis, any question you want to ask? Wait, I think So let's move to hypothesis. This one, the one that I said, hypothesis, right? Use more Facebook lead to more addiction. This one can be simple answer to your hypothesis. So this is a simple hypothesis for this research. So what other research that you can think of from this research? What are the hypotheses that you think you can come out from this? I won't say title, but the research. What is the hypothesis? Hmm, Wong Z is Wong. This one can be a hypothesis. Yes, you can say that a person or a student. Actually, when you want to write a hypothesis, you need to be very specific. So we are not referring to random people. We are referring to a student. So a student who is addicted to Facebook has a low academic performance. Why? Because we are using this university student. So you need to write yes. Just replace this statement here. A student, not a person. But this is correct. Good. Wong, just now, this Wong, Wong Z Sheng. What do you think? Another hypothesis that you can think of? Wong, are you there? Or Farah Vincent, what do you think? What is your hypothesis? So, I this one that I capture from just now. This one is another example of hypothesis. Higher usage, this too is the example of hypothesis. Higher usage of Facebook leads to higher addiction to Facebook. So what else do you think that you can say from this hypothesis, from this research? Mm, yes. Rachel, what do you think? Why Rachel is so silent today? So guys, what do you think? Rachel, where are you? Rachel, Celine. Many students are addicted to Facebook. Is this question mark should be included in your hypothesis? Or you asking me? Many students are, no, okay. So this is your hypothesis. Many students are addicted to Facebook. This one is your hypothesis too, because you want to see if, do you want to conduct a research to see if many students are addicted to Facebook? But this one is quite simple one, but I will consider this is as correct. This is your hypothesis, correct? Yeah, this one is hypothesis, a theory that we want to see if this what do we call them? Addict those people who are addicted to Facebook, interrupted by the uncontrolled activities on Facebook. This is another hypothesis or theory that we want to see or we want to justify through our research. The Facebook, this one too. This is a correct hypothesis. We want to see if the excessive Facebook usage cause the Facebook addiction to the university student. This one is correct. So I think most of you know how to come out with a hypothesis. So again, hypothesis is something that we want to prove or something that we want to justify. It can be true and it can be rejected, but should be okay if rejected. As long as we can justify why we our why our hypothesis is rejected. So next, I assume most of you know already how to write your hypothesis or how to identify your hypothesis. So now let's move to method or instrument use. Yes. Can you give me example this? What is the example of instrument from our two previous exercise? I mentioned this a lot. Instrument can be questionnaire, interview. Yes. So instrument is a tools that we use. So we use the questionnaire during the interview. So instrument is questionnaire or can be questionnaire. So back to the research article. What is the data method collection or what is there any instrument used on this particular paper? So guys, what is the method? Or what are the questionnaire? What is the instrument they use? Okay. So they are using interview, they're using survey, correct? I mean the data collection method, interview, survey, collect. So what is the instrument they use? It's that here. So what are the instrument they use? This is the method to get data, interview, survey. What is the instrument they use? Instrument is this, like I said, questionnaire. Questionnaire is your instrument. Okay, your method is survey interview, but your data collection method is through survey or interview, but your instrument is interview. Ini je questionnaire. Face to face semi-structured interview. Yeah, this one is considered as interview. So questionnaire is a method. Questionnaire is a tool that you use to get your data during your data collection. So questionnaire is a tool that we use through this interview. I mean, during the interview or during a survey, there must be something that you give to them, right? Or something that you use to ask them. I thought questionnaire is a method, but questionnaire is not used specifically. What do you mean questionnaire is not used specifically? Questionnaire is not used. Wait, oh. instrument. Instrument. In RE. Hmm. See, I said a tool, a tool that we use. Wait, Rashid, wait. So, questionnaire is a tool referring to this. Research instrument is a tool to collect, measure, and analyze data. So, we use this research, we use this questionnaire to collect the data through interview. So, here, your method is survey and interview, and your tool used is your questionnaire. Okay, that's how. Okay, next. The first sentence say previously used and has limitation. Huh? Hmm. And has limitation. Every research has limitation. The names on all participants were between. What do you mean? Previously used and has limitation. Yeah, correct. Here, previously used here, where the limitation of the methods were never survey. Correct. While earlier studies adopted the quantitative method through questionnaire technique and not survey's limitation. Correct. But still, if you read this whole paragraph, they are using interview as their data method and they're using questionnaire as their tools. The first sentence previous sentence limitation. Actually, right, I understand what you said. Actually, if you only refer to this, yes, this is earlier studies, which is not on this research. I mean, not for this research. But if you go read somewhere here, down there, you will find that they will get the data. I think one of you already answer here. It's you, I think. Yeah, you already identify. This is interview. Regardless what type of interview, it's still interview here. Okay. And how you're doing your interview without any instrument, without any tools. We're not going to ask, we're not going to simply ask people without any question, right? There must be a question that we ask them and using what instrument or what tools. Okay, Rachel? I think I answer your question. Here you already said that you're using interview, but what you want to ask interview is asking a question, right? This is, yeah, interview is asking a question. So there must be a question for you to ask them and using what? It's using questionnaire. Okay. Can we move? Or you want to stay here with data collection? Never mind for now. Okay, boss. So let's move to sample. So what is sample in a research? What do you think is sample for this one? Sample is something that, so before I give you answer, can anyone explain? Hmm, Kelvin Shark. So what do you think is sample from your answer? This one can be correct. Why have question mark? University student without question mark can be a sample for this research. But what is sample actually? Sample is where or what our data. Sample of study or hmm, sample, you cannot find sample from any of this, but you need to read the whole paragraph. So here is a correct what people we study. Okay. Here from this one, university student is one of our sample. So university student is they didn't specify, right? Is it in term of people or in term of result? In term of people or in term of result? So university student is our sample because we want to see the output. I mean the output from this student. So this is correct. University student is correct. Yeah, this is same with this one, but this one is more specific. So the university student is the 9 international postgraduate. So this one is same with this one. What people we study. Just now I asked what sample, right? Sample is something that we want to study, not only people. It can be anything. For example, for this research, yes, it's true. It's people that we want to study. Or the sample, yeah, correct. The people we want for this particular research, the sample is people that we want to study. But in other research, maybe not only people, not only involve people, it's depend on the research. So that is sample or what we want to study actually. Okay, did I explain that clearly? So do you guys understand what is sample? Sample is something that we want to study or what we want to see, what we want to look. So for this particular research, it is a student, so it is a people. So let's move to method. Analysis method. How do we analyze our result? Oh, no, not result. How do we analyze our data? So like I always say, data and result is different. Data is something that we haven't processed, while result is the processed data. So what is your method? Anyone understood? Oh, so what is your research method to analyze the data? Data. Hmm. I don't know. Three dreams don't know what it's called. Yeah, me too. I don't know what it's called, but it's here. So this is actually you can read most of the most of the research paper that I already read. They will state what is the data analysis or what is the method to analysis their data. So here they use for this research they are using team one, team two. Actually, three teams as a result of data. Team is your result. Oh, actually, for this particular research, they didn't specify how they get. Actually, Noel, this one, actually the team here, team one, team two, and this one actually is the result from your analysis. Here it's set as a result. So your the team is not your method to analyze. They didn't, or this research or this paper didn't specify actually how they analyze the data using focus group. Focus group. What do you mean focus group? R mean, because as I can see, did I miss out? Wait, let me read back. Since they use many group participants and study. Wait, they didn't specify in the abstract to in introduction to in here too they didn't stat. So they didn't stat. Since they use many group of participants and study using focus group. I mean like how do they analyze the data when they get the data? I don't understand why you said it's focus group. After the interview process was done, the researcher finding related to the after the interview process was done, the researcher transcribed and analyzed the findings. It didn't state how did they analyze the data. Hmm. Focus group. Focus group. Focus group. No, focus group cannot be a focus group cannot be your this one. No, cannot. This is not a method. Method is something that we use. Why you said it focus group? No, actually for this research they didn't specify what is your method. If you go back to the previous article, you can find. So this is a sample of how they analyze data. This is how the sample on how they analyze data. Okay, for this one, the theme is the result from the data analysis. It's not your method. Can, why not? Same goes with your variable. Sometimes in research, you have your variable or not. So, Shak, I don't think this is the method. Okay. Yes, can. But you need to justify like a method, like in our previous lecture, not. No, our last week lecture, we have a lecture that we don't have a variable, right? So in an exam or in your midterm, if they ask you observation, observation is how we get our data. It's not how we analyze our data. Actually, guys, data analysis method is not how we get the data. Is, for example, for this research, just now we said that we get our data through survey or interview. So after we get our data through our survey or through interview, using these tools, we will process or how do we get our result or what method that we use to process the data. So observation is not your data analysis method. Observation should go to here if they have observation. Okay. Okay. So data analysis method, it didn't start. You can read from this part. The team 1, team 2, and team 3 is actually the result, not your not your method. Okay. So let's move to result finding. What is your finding or your result? Hmm. This one. Where's my highlight? Okay. Can this one. Higher, this one is hypothesis. Higher frequency of Facebook usage will lead to higher level of addiction. Can. This one can be your hypothesis. Hypothesis. So you want to see if this is true, or you want to justify this statement. So can be same as the hypothesis. Higher frequency. Higher frequency will lead to higher level of. Oh, you mean your result can be same as your hypothesis? Can. Why? Because like I said, hypothesis is something that you want to justify. So your result can be your hypothesis. Okay. So the answer to this, yes. Yes, your hypothesis can be same as your result, because hypothesis is something you want to justify and your result justify your hypothesis. So this is your example of your output. I mean your result. Anything you want to add for your result or your output before we move to limitation? Limitation is the gap of your study. So no, right? So let's move to limitation. Limitation or your gap of your research is something usually on your last part of your issue, or I mean usually it will go to discussion. So you need to identify what is the gap, or what is the gap is something that they suggest for future work, for future research. So what do you think? What is the gap, or what is your limitation of this research? You can read that one from this part here. Mm. This one can be your gap too. Yeah, just copy paste. It's okay, but you can identify. This one is your gap too. So why it's that here rather than rejecting or confirming? Confirming or rejecting your hypothesis, that's mean this research, I'm talking about this particular statement. So this statement state that they cannot justify whether what they want to test, which is their hypothesis, is accepted or rejected. So they cannot, how do I say this? They cannot state is it correct or wrong, their hypothesis or their theory. So this is the gap or the problem with their research. Problem, right? Did I mention that correctly? Yeah, limitation of research or gap or a problem. So this can be your limitation of a research. A lot of student, a lot of student, a lot. There's a 9 student if I'm not mistaken. No, not none. No, not 9. Should be here. Limitation is limitation is a problem that they cannot solve. No, it's not problem they cannot solve. Limitation when doing a research, limitation is actually something that you are limited to. I mean, like, what is your limitation of your research? For example, mm, let me see. Limitation of a research actually is, let me think how to explain this. Okay, for example, let's take my research as an example. So my research last time is me developing a learning application using gamification technique. So the limitation that I encounter was the knowledge in, it's not knowledge, limitation, gamification, learning application, limitation. Let me think how to explain this. Limitation is actually something that when we want to do our research, what stop us to get a good result, or what stop us in our research. That is limitation. Limitation, you, I think, mm, this is the limitation. This is the example of limitation. Surveys that it is not enough to check the effect of Facebook addiction. So this is your limitation, or this is your gap of your research. Limitation is like a problem in your research. It's not really a problem. How to explain this? Limitation is refer to the term limited. I do not know how to explain limitation, but limitation something like this. In your research or in this research, the survey said it is not enough to check the effect of Facebook addiction. So this is an example of limitation. Another one, mm, Facebook compulsive and frequently struggle when they attempt to solve their problem and use. Based on the first theme, the student use Facebook compulsive frequently when they attempt to solve their problem and use Facebook less. Macam mana nak? My God. No, actually, how to explain? Pay attention. Farah Vincent, I'm not really sure how to address your question because limitation actually is a problem that we encounter is in our research. It can be the way that we get our result. It can be anything that limit our research. That means we cannot get what we want, or we cannot proceed on what we want, or we cannot get what's the best for our result. The sample may not be cooperative with the research can. This is another limitation. That means we cannot get the real, I mean, we cannot get the exact result because people or the student is not honest during the interview. This one is the limitation too. Student is not honest during the IB. I think this is a proper way for you to write this statement. So this is a limitation too. Yeah, can. It can be anything that you think limited to your research, to the research. You can find here actually. I'm not sure how to explain I'm sorry, Farah. I do not know how to explain actually. Mm, yes, correct. The result is not 100% correct because the student is not honest during the IV. Okay, so I interpret what he said here to this one. Okay, so that's more or less the limitation. Yeah. So area of future study. Let's move to this one. So what is your area of future study? Area of future study can be your suggestion in your research. I found one. So area of your future study can be based on your gap, scope, limitation of your research, and then they will provide or they will suggest. So here I found this is suggested by this researcher. So they suggest for next research, or if they want to continue this research, they suggest to have this one to tackle this problem. Okay, one is a solution for understanding the phenomena and prepare therapists for the future to the program. So they suggest this one to solve the issue. Okay, actually for these two part, you can find it at the end of your paper. But sometimes it's quite confusing. Sometimes you need to think beyond what's the paper right. Okay. Yes, feature study based on your gap or your problem or your issue in your paper. It can be anything. You can come out with your own idea what should be done in the next research paper. Okay. Finally, you finished this one. Okay. So, is there any question before we get on from this one? Anyone? Anything you want to ask? No. I take it as no. Okay, so let me explain. I just want to share with you guys in your exam, since I'm not sure what they will ask in your exam, I mean in your midterm. So what I suggest to you guys first, if they give you paper like this, if they give you an article like this, I know sometimes you don't have enough time to read. So what I suggest to you is first you read your question first. First, first you need to read your question, what they ask in your question. For example, here you need to see what they ask. They ask author here, so you need to see all the element in your question paper, and then next, you go to read your, obviously, you need to read your article. But why I ask you to read your question first is because it's easier for you to identify what they want in your paper. So you don't have to waste your time to understand the whole thing because I know it's not easy to understand the whole paper. So I suggest to you guys, but it's up to you guys. You read your paper first. So it's easier for you to highlight in your article, okay, to save your time, to reduce your time, to avoid your time, no, to avoid you from wasting your time, okay. So that's how you read, and then that's only for exam, huh? But in your research letter, if you continue your study in master, you do not practice what I said just now. That one is only for your exam. For your research, if anyone interested, maybe for your assignment, I'm not sure. Like I said, read the abstract. If you think, first read the title. If you think the title is relevant or related to your study, move to the abstract. So if you think the abstract is going to help you with your research, move to introduction. Introduction is, abstract is the overview, the like a synopsis to your research. Introduction is the whole part of your research. So you need to understand these three parts first. So if you think this paper is related, so then only you proceed with the whole paper. That's how you research paper. But if you're new with research paper, if you have a lot of time, read the whole thing, read the whole part. So that can strengthen your skill in reading. Okay, so I'm done with that part. So actually for practical, not practical exercise, we already covered these three. So we already finished exercise 1, exercise 2, and exercise 3. So the one just now, that was the last part of our exercise in reading the article. So I really hope, I know you're still new with article, but by this third article, you should already familiar with the article, okay? So we finish this one. We finish the exercise, and then last week, actually, we should cover on this one, data transformation. Yeah, on data transformation. But last week, I just explained to you guys on how to use this PSPP. So can you guys open your practical data transformation? This one. This one is a short practical only, which 12 page. So anything you want to ask before we move to our practical? No. Okay, that's cool. So let's move to our practical. So open your lecture, not for your practical. I assume all of you already download this PSPP. In the zip folder, it's attached together with the data set. Data set is a sample of data that we are going to use in this particular practical. Okay, have you guys open it? So by right, if you open it, you can see there are two tabs at the bottom of your PSPP, which is data view and your variable view. So did you guys open it already?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's move to this one. This one is quite short actually. So this is a tool that we use to analyze our data. So for this week, which we should cover last week, which is data transformation. So here, if you open this lecture note, this is your data transformation. You have two, which is the first one is your lecture note and the second one is your data set. So here, they just explain if you insert, how to insert, actually you just drag your data set into your PSPP here. Or you just click on your data set and you go to here bottom, left bottom, you click on your data view tab. So if you notice, there are two missing column here. So this is your missing column. So using this tool, we can also replace the missing data value with a new data value. It can be mean or median. So in such a situation, you can create new variable from existing variable. So what we are going to do today is we're going to replace this value, or what do we do when we have missing value here? This is the sample from our data. Okay, so this is the example. This is using, I'm not sure if you guys learn about, no, just one subject. Uh, uh, Data mining or something. Data mining, yeah, data mining. So if you study data mining, by right, you should familiar with this kind of data. So this is just example. It's okay, we can skip this part. And then here is the part where we will solve this missing data, or how we're going to solve this missing data. So you can refer the step to step, the step by step here in your lecture note. So you guys can try to do this one, as I'm going to try this one too. So you can refer to your lecture note. It's quite easy actually.
Miss, how to
So,
get this data?
pardon?
Because our PSPP is like empty.
Oh yeah, actually, PSPP, you need to click here. Try to click on
Oh,
data here,
okay.
or you drag. Yeah, you try to drag. this part 2.a data transformation data set. I think you can click on that one.
Okay, already.
Okay, let me try. Yeah, just click and then you go to your data view. So everyone can open the file, right? I assume yes. Hmm. So guys, did you get the first one? Because here in your I can't press OK. You need to Tara Vincent, can you share your screen? You need to click on your this one. Alah. You need to click on this one first. You need to click wait first and then you click OK. Yeah, if you already finished the first one by red, you should be like this. They will auto fill this one, the missing one just now. Farah Vincent, are you okay? Do you need help? Yes. You need to add the value first. Okay, let's wait for them first. The second one? You mean the first one or the second one? You need to click on the file to open the file. You can directly go to this one and then you open. Click on this one. Yes. Ah, Why I cannot get the value? Wait. This is weird. Wait, this is wrong. Okay, I'm so stupid. Shouldn't change. Guys, can you get the value already? For two parts, yeah, you need to click 2 times. Yes, you need to
Alright.
do 2 times. Why I cannot get the value? What's wrong with me or my?
Need to click add.
I think I know the problem. Can you go back to your PSPP?
This one.
Cancel. I mean, exit this window. Yeah, this window. If you look at the right hand side corner, there's a change. Click the
This
change.
one.
Yeah. And then it should be okay. Why like that?
Yeah, I want is the black hole. Hi. Limit change weight. What's wrong? Oh. Not working. Is every one of you get the value? Miss need another one, all other values to add, needs to take all the other value already. This one? Already. This one? Have to click 8. Noel, which one, Noel?
Just you go previous one. The all and new values. The
This one?
second one, the else, the one right side. The one the
Left,
sister
right, this one?
sis. Ah yeah, the one remove. And then on the left side, click all other values.
Yeah.
Yes. And the right side, copy all values. The top right top right. Add. Yeah.
Then continue.
Continue.
Change. Is it?
And
Do
then
I need to
okay.
change?
Yeah, try
So you can be
change.
my lecturer. It's not working. I already tried since last night. By the way, all of you, yeah, I think tried since last night. But guys, did you get the value? Anyone have problem? So I assume I'm the problem here because I already tried so many times. So it's okay, never mind. I don't really use this tool for my research, so it's okay. So basically that's PSPP. Maybe I will figure out what is my problem with my tools. So can we move from that PSPP or any question that any of you want to ask? This one already, data transformation, assignment progress, sure. So, this one. I think we already covered everything, almost everything except this one. So, can we move to quiz? Before we move to quiz, do you have anything that you want to ask? Let me upload quiz 4. Today you have 2 quiz, which is quiz 4 and quiz 5. Yes. No. This one. This is quiz. Hmm. quiz 5. Quiz 5. Correct. Quiz. Mm, yeah, cannot. Alvin cannot. Wait. Guys, I already upload the quiz for quiz 4 and quiz 5 for Alvin. Wait, I'll share with you in your lecture. Not in your lecture. In the slide note, there is no Alvin. Wait, you do. I mean, you guys do your quiz first, quiz 4 and quiz 5. I think I already upload. So you guys answer. I give you 35 until 11:35. Okay. For Alvin. Quiz percentage 23. No. Noel, what do you mean? I think I already. Quiz. I think already there. Quiz 4 and quiz 5. Oh. guys, are you done? Because I just Hmm. Okay. So okay, finish first. Hello, hi guys. I think enough. We need to proceed with our class. I can see 13, 14 response. Okay, we will proceed with our class. So, yeah, some of you are still doing it. It's okay. But guys, from our previous quiz, I'm not sure. Did your lecturer share with you with the I mean with the with everyone the marks, or how do they share your marks? You guys know each other's mark, is it or no? Noel, which mark? No. So you guys do not know your mark. You just know. I mean, like you just know your marks, not the class. Oh, she go through every quiz. Hmm. Are you guys cool if we share your mark with everyone? I mean, like, yeah, we will share. We will go through every quiz. We will discuss every quiz. But which mark? Quiz mark? Yeah, quiz mark. You have mark for quiz. So do you share with everyone, or that's no problem if share? Okay, then let's share your mark. So we will discuss the. No, we just talk about the answer. Which one? This is it's not a big deal. So since for our progress, I mean for your assignment, we won't discuss in class, but instead I will comment based on the document to you, because there's nothing much I can say, or there's nothing much I can comment on your work if we discuss in class. Okay. So for your research, you just send me the document, so I will comment to you. Is that okay with you guys?
Okay.
Okay then. Cool. So let's move to quiz 1. Is it really you cannot share your mark? Hmm. So we go to first quiz first. Guys, I want to remind you, this is not a survey. This is a quiz. So why some of you submit me more than one time? I only accept, or I will only capture your answer based on your first submission, okay? So the first one, quiz 1, last 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So research is most of you should I what research 1. Okay. It's okay. I remember your answer, Elvin. But I just share with you the overall, I mean the percentage here. Okay. Here, the first question is, research is a discriminating pursuit of truth. Research is something actually that we done or we do to identify or to know what is the actually, it's not what the actually, for example, like I said, when we conducting a research, we need a hypothesis. So we need to identify, is it what we want to know? Is it true based on our concept, or is it wrong? I mean, like, most of you answer this correctly. This discerning pursuit of the truth. So we want to know what is the truth behind the problem of our research. Okay, so that is the first one, discerning pursuit of the truth. And then, which is not a factor that has changed the way research is done? I'm quite surprised with the answer, which most of you still answer in this one, advance in transportation. Our research, like I always remind to you guys, research we cannot duplicate. Replicate is a duplication. We cannot duplicate or we cannot replicate any research by other work. So our research is not even a research if we duplicate or if we replicate result or research by other work. So this is not a factor that has changed the way of research is done. Okay, ability to duplicate or replicate result. Okay, so question number 3. A research is a project is said to be, here is the keyword, same result. Same result, that means you only replicable. I think that's quite easy. Let's see, what's your yeah, most of you answer this correctly, which is replicable. So replicable is something that we can duplicate. Yeah, same result. So it's like duplicate of work. So it's replicable. Which of the below considered as the worst title? Ride sharing. Why it is considered as worst title? Because yeah, most of you answer this correctly, because this is too short and is not specific at all compared to other option you can get here. So this is a worst title. This is not even a title. This is just like a term. This one is a bad title. So let's move to next. Which of the following statement is correct? This is many of you get this one wrong, if I'm not mistaken. Why? Let me explain to you guys. Which of the following statement is correct? First, we include all papers we have read, both side and not side into the. We include all papers we have read into the list reference. Regardless to this statement, this is correct because we include all papers we have read into the list reference. But here, as you see, there's not cite. We do not include the paper that we do not cite. That means not cite that we do not use in our paper. We do not use as our reference in our paper. So we just include the reference into the list of reference what we already cite or what we use in our paper. So this one is wrong. And we can use different referencing style. No, in any, wherever you go in writing, you have one specific style or one specific format that you need to follow. Is it IEEE or Harvard or APA style? You just need to follow one style or one format, specific format. So you cannot use any different referencing style. It's not even referencing style. I mean, in your whole article or your whole paper, you just need to use one style, not only in referencing style, okay? So you need to know what format you use or what style you use. You need to fix that. We go to D first. We can copy sentence of other works and paste into our as long as the paper being cited. No. Yes, we need to cite papers, but we cannot copy paste the exact statement of the paper into our paper. We need to do like we need to quote what people say, or we need to change the structure of the statement. We do not copy paste sentence of other works, even though we cite them in our paper. Okay, that is so wrong. That is considered as plagiarism. Second, next, it is mandatory to include reference list for the papers website at the end of your assignment. It is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. It is mandatory for us to include all the reference that we already cite in our assignment or in our paper. Why is it true for C? Because we summarize the structure of the paper in the introductory section. As I said before, in abstract is like a synopsis to our paper, but introduction part, like I said just now in our class, introduction part is where we conclude the whole. It's not like conclude, but it's telling the whole structure of your research. It's more detailed compared to abstract, but it is true that we summarize the structure of our paper in introduction part. Okay, I'm very fast, right? I know. So any question? It's so any question before we move to quiz number 2? So let's see. What's quiz number 2? Okay, quiz number 2. Guys, you don't have class right after this, so I will make this fast. So issue of interest is related to the specific decision. So what is poses an issue of interest to the researcher, and it is related to the specific decision faced by the company. It is not a hypothesis because hypothesis is a theory. Same with the second one. Theory, hypothesis, and theory is the same thing. Data point is not general. Data point is I'm not really sure. Data point is something like data point. Your highlight of your data. Yeah, the highlight of your data. And decision process is a process. So the most, it's not the most easy, but I think the most closest to this statement is research question. So most of you get this one correct. And then second, we have, so this one, like I always highlight in our class, hypothesis is a formal statement of some unproven. Unproven is still that we need to find the truth. That means we still need to prove what we said or our statement. So it is a hypothesis. It can be a theory. Actually, this is more or less the same. Hypothesis is your theory. Okay. And data point is your highlight. This one is not, and this one is not. Just unproven position is the keyword, or yeah, the keyword for your question. But if you have the option between hypothesis and theory, you need to know that you need to choose hypothesis first because hypothesis is a theory. But usually people will call it as hypothesis. Okay. In your research, I think in your assignment, no, in article, they will call it as hypothesis. They won't say it as a theory. But more or less the meaning is the same. But we call it first as a hypothesis. And then the next one, the statement advertising is positively related to sales is an example of, I think this one is quite easy. This is a sample of hypothesis. This is not a, yeah, most of you guys answer this correctly and some of you still confused with a theory. So this one is a hypothesis. This is example of hypothesis. Normative decision rule. This is not a rule for you to make your decision. Normative decision rule. This is not your, I think it's not up to your level yet, this part. And behavioral learning theory. Behavioral learning theory is, how to say? Behavioral learning theory is, I didn't touch this part, but I didn't touch this part in our class, but behavioral learning theory is theory that we develop based on the observation of any specific behavior. This one is a deep research. And descriptive theory, this one I already touched in our class. So this is, but however, this is not your descriptive theory. This is an example of your hypothesis, okay? And then second, a formal document summarizing what the problem is, how it will know how. A formal document summarize what the problem is, investigate how much. This one, it is obvious, this is research proposal. research proposal actually, yeah, most of you answer this correctly. So research proposal actually is something that we do or something that we develop to, it's not your research paper. It's like we want to propose, I mean, it's like a proposal about what our research is. It's not a complete document, but it's a summary of our research on what the problem is or how it will be investigated and how long the research will take to complete. So it is actually a research proposal. It's not a theory hypothesis, not okay. So the last one is a clear, precise statement of the questions to the solution. Precise hypothesis. This one. Problem statement. So most of you answer this correctly. This is a problem statement, but of the question. This is your keyword statement of the question, or is it that is immediate with the goal of finding the answer of solution. Like I mentioned just now, problem statement or problem background is the reason why you want to conduct your research in the first place. So this is a problem statement. Yeah, problem statement is the reason why you want to conduct your research in the first place. What is the issue that lead to your investigation in your research? Okay, guys. So I think we have time. So we will stop until quiz 2. Next week, we will continue. I will explain. So I will explain or we will discuss on the quiz 3 on next class. Next week, okay? Is that okay? Guys, really, seriously, I want to ask, how do they share your mark? Some of you say it's okay, but some of you said no. So how do I share your mark with you? Don't tell me I need to email you one by one your mark. Quizzes, this one, yeah, but how do I keep your mark? Let me see. For first quiz, right? For first quiz, I think most of you score high mark. Except for, yeah. It's not except for 1, 2, 3, 4. Email to each of you. Yeah, so just now I saw someone said, so it's okay. We just share the mark. This is just a mark. Okay, so I just share my mark. I know. Someone said it just now. It's okay lah. I just share. This is just a mark for your quiz. It's not a big deal, by the way. So this is your mark. No lah, it's okay. This is just a mark, okay? So chill, guys. This is not a big deal. Okay, I share my screen with you guys. But I won't upload this mark yet, or I won't publish it anyway because we still have mark that I haven't included here. So this is your mark. Oh. So this is your mark. You guys can see, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is your mark for your first. It's not first. For your 3 quiz. So it's quite okay actually, especially for the first one. But surprisingly, I'm quite surprised no one scored full mark or answer all quiz for the first one. But for the second one, we have two experts here, Ivan and Lim, got full mark. And then quiz 3. Hi. So, and then in quiz 3, we have Jonathan here, another Sifu in research class. So this is your marks. I think everyone can see this already, right? Yeah. So this is your mark. Yeah, how I see my chosen answer. Next quiz, I will record myself. How do I respond this? Because actually I have this one. This one. I'm not sure if I can share. Can I share this one with you? No, cannot. Yeah, you don't remember your answer, but I do remember your answer. And like I said, some of you send me more than one submission, but I will only capture the first one. So this one, I'm not sure how to help you, but this is your mark. Okay. So those who get high mark, good for you because you understand. Those who get low mark, it's okay. This is just a quiz. Okay, so that's all. Anything you want to ask before we dismiss?
And
I won't close this mark until we finish our quiz. Yeah. So for your research method class, do remind me if you send me your update on your progress because some of you already get response from me. Miss, I didn't about O11. I DM about OAD. Yes, I haven't responded to you, Rachel. I said by the end of this week, which is weekend because I have class and other stuff to handle. Okay. So we can dismiss now if you have no question, or you can DM me. Yeah, Jonathan Ian, I remember you. If I'm not mistaken, you just asked me, right, in WhatsApp. So, okay. Thank you, guys. You can DM me about your assignment. Bye, guys. Thank you.